Okay, welcome to Poppy's workshop, the live edition. Here we are. It is Sunday, the 4th of February. Hard to believe that January has already passed us by. Um, pretty much recovered from COVID. Still have a little bit of irritation up at the top of my lungs. Here it's my meat hooks here. And I still have a little bit of that with the coughing. So that's part and parcel of what I have to deal with, I guess. It will take a while to clear out my lungs a little bit more. But anyway, starting on a few new projects today. I'll show you one that I just did this week as a kind of a fun thing to do, just kind of checking out, and we'll kind of go from there. I'm not seeing anybody online yet, so that's why I'm kind of talking slowly today. But anyway, let me start with what I just finished, and we'll hold that up to the camera. Let me just switch over here so I can see a little bit better live. So here we go. We have an alligator wheel toy. So let me show you that the wheels actually move. So there we go. They actually move. And the alligator articulates in 4 different joints. Let me get that there. So there you go. That's what I did. Actually had a few little issues when I did this because I'm stupid, and decided to make some changes on the fly, and I knew better. So when I first did the design, and actually let me do this. Let me hold up the design and bring that out to you. So this is the design, and it's by Rich Fountainwood. And one of the things I did originally, because of the wheel being here, is I extended these pivot joints about double the size. And I had everything dry fitted, everything worked really well, but I did not like the way that extension looked because of the flat spot. What I should have done is made another scale or whatever you call those bumps there. So what I decided to do, since that was out further, is I cut and then I re-drilled. But when I re-drilled, because I didn't drill it the same way, it would not work properly. So I decided, okay, then I'll cut off the pegs that I inserted in. And when I did that, I had to re-drill, and I broke this piece here. So what I wound up doing is taking a piece of scrap, using my belt sander. I have a couple belt sanders, but this is my 1x21. So smooth that out a little bit, glued on another part with the hole already pre-drilled, lined it all up with the peg when I glued it. Now everything works fine and dandy. So just to show you how I did it, this is one of the important things when you do this. Originally, I was thinking of not cutting out the notch. Let me see if you can see the notch here, and then drilling through this part, and then putting it together. But my fear was that the holes wouldn't line up properly. So what I did is I actually cut the notches out so everything fit in, and I stayed really true to the line so that it was a really tight fit. I wanted it as tight as possible so that it was hard to friction fit it. Then I put it upside down. Let me grab this here. I put it upside down in one of my wooden clamps, so right in here, so that upside down I could then drill that hole. And that hole, then, you can see the peg, would go straight through. Now, I did drill a little bit larger hole than I wanted to, so there is a little bit of flex. Next time around, I may try a little bit tighter fit. I'm not sure, but this does pivot really nice. Um, what I will be doing next time around, though, I think you can still see that. We'll put this behind. I am going to go to about 80, I think that's 80%. Let me move that. Yeah. So I'm going to go to about 80% in the size. And the other thing that I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put some spacers, probably 3 millimeter spacers here, here, and here, so that the wheels are out a little bit further. Uh, it's actually very steady, but I want to have a little bit wider um, stance so that this is really stable. One of the things that I do plan on doing is drilling a hole in the nose, gluing in um, let's see, um, a cord, most likely paracord, and then putting one of these on the end. So those are my plans for this particular project, and then the next one being 80%. So that leads us up to what we're doing today. One of the things that I am doing is I'm rebuilding my supply of toys that will be going to local fire departments. Their different stations. We have a number of stations in this city. Actually, I live in the largest city population-wise in Virginia, but we are spread out a lot. But then I also plan on getting it to others. Actually, I've got to follow up on a couple contacts that I have, see if they want them. So I have a couple different projects that I'm working on right now. Here, I'm doing some a little bit smaller toys. Let me see if I can find the wheels that I want for this one here, and then the wheels for this here. I'm actually running out of wheels. I have to resupply here. So what I did is I scaled these down just a little bit so that they will fit my smaller 1-inch wheels. These are really good for the little kids. So that's what I'm going to be doing here. And this, I was going to do a double stack, but the more I thought about it, it's like, no, this one, I'm just going to do a single stack. So I'm going to get 6 toys out of this. What I'll most likely do is take these 6, and that'll be a kit that goes to one of the local fire departments as an introduction. Then, as time goes on, I'll do some of the larger ones. The other, oh, actually, I got 2 of them, so it doesn't matter. You'll notice that there's a spoon here. So let me address that. You'll see that I also have it on the other one that I'll show you in just a moment here. So I have a wooden spoon in the scrap area. My goal, as we move along, is to try and maximize the space that I use. This particular piece of wood, which is what I really prefer to work on, is a 6 by 12-inch piece. I have the place that I purchased this from rip all my wood for me into, 12-inch lengths. I think I can move this stuff over. I'm not sure if I will be able to get another row of these animals, maybe get one in there, but what I decided to do is put one of my spoons in. This is one of my favorite spoons, very easy to make. The hardest part, of course, is really shaping the bowl out of in there, but it's just a very simple design, and let me show you one that I made out of walnut. So this is what this one is going to look like, a little bit smaller than this. And really, this was more of my primitive carve. I have another one that's just a much nicer bowl, but this was my primitive. And you can see I did some shaping to it. So it fits real nice. But this can be used either for decoration or for scooping. I've got to figure out what the measurement is for that. But I would use it for scooping salt. Yeah, I guess scooping salt, or better yet, sugar. Anything dry. I would prefer this not to get wet other than, maybe a damp cloth. Finish this with the raw linseed oil so it is food safe. And I really liked how the walnut handled. In this case, this is mahogany. So I'm going to see how the mahogany handles. And actually, that does bring me back to one of my original thoughts on this. Eventually, I am going to shift over. Let me check the chat here for a moment and see what's going on. Okay, I just wanted to shift over to the live chat here and see who's here. I don't see anybody yet, which is okay. So, where was I? Oh, so right now I'm actually using fairly expensive wood. Trying to remember how much one piece cost. Yeah, I don't remember. But doing that, being that I'm able to get 6 of the toys and even a spoon for something else out of it, I'm starting to maximize. But you can see, I could probably free up. Well, that's not too bad. I can move things a little bit more. Maybe if I move these in closer, I might actually be able to, be a smaller spoon, get another spoon in there. So that's what I'll do on my Photoshop. I've scaled it to the 6x12, and I can fit everything in and then print it out on that. Okay, so let's go moving on. So here, this is oak, white. I don't remember, I forgot the other type of oak, white oak that it is. But I am doing a stack cut on this, and this is with my signature puppy, which is kind of my mascot for Poppy's workshop. And I've already did the first 2 insides here, and I'm going to do these and cut them out in the next part when I switch over to the scroll saw. But I really like oak. One of the things that I keep thinking with these particular toys is that I want them to be heirloom quality that will last. But the cost is quite high when you really look at it. So these wind up being, over $3 a piece, $4 when you add the wheels in. So that is a little bit expensive, but I can go to a different hardwood, aspen. I want to go with something that doesn't have a lot of grain or a very tight grain. Aspen, I think some, not necessarily Baltic birch, but one of the ones that are, closer to a 400 Janka. So these are the wheels that I've selected. So that is one type with the treads. The other one, which I think I kind of like this better, is it's the same. I think this is either 1.5 or 1.25. I forgot which. I could go a little bit larger. Let me find the larger wheels that I have here. But I think these may actually be a little bit too large. I'm not sure. I mean, it fits where the plans say. But here, let me put another one in so you can get an idea of what it looks like. I don't know. To me, that kind of looks a little bit clunky. So let me tilt it up a little bit here. I get that out of the way. I don't know. You let me know if you think that looks clunky or not compared to the little bit smaller tire. I believe these are, let me check here. I'll have to check the bag. These are, yep, 2 inches by 3/4. So it does give a really good base. There's no doubt about that. That little puppy won't wobble, but I don't know. Let me know what you think, because if I do go to this, I'll have to re-drill that to a larger hole. So I may do it on the next set. So those are the 2 inches. Let me know if you like the 2-inch ones. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see what we got here. Okay, I think that pretty much covers, excuse me, what we'll be working on today. And again, here's another spoon. Actually, so 2 spoons. So we're going to be making in this stack cut technically 4 of these and 2 of the spoons here. So that's what we'll be cutting out. Again, I was thinking of doing a stack cut with this, but then decided, you know, let me just start with these 6, and then the next time around I'll do a stack cut on it after I readjust things a little bit. So what we shall do now is we will be moving over to the scroll saw. There we go. Okay, we are on the scroll saw here, and I just wanted to check to see what's going on. Let me get my stool up a little bit higher here. Now whoops, I'm going down. Okay, up we go. So what I am going to be doing is using a number 10 Pegasus. I think I don't remember if it's the skip or the reverse. Nuts, I forgot. Yeah, I just don't remember. So let me get things adjusted here. Ooh, okay, stay. Yeah, I've got a slippery tabletop here. So let me adjust for the 1.5 inches. I'll show it in a little bit, but I have the screen, quote unquote, permanently mounted. Let me move that off so it's not sliding. So on my top vac, I have the screen. I have another video on that, and what I wound up doing. Let's see where I'm at here. Let me get this threaded through. Yeah, you can't see it just as yet. When I lower it down, I'll do it. I'll show you. Come on. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to see it at this angle. Yeah, I adjusted the camera to come in at a little bit higher angle. There we go. But what I did is I wound up just taking my rotary tool sander, and with that sander, I knocked off the little edges on it and then put a little notch so that it actually just snapped into place. I mean, it was like it was almost made for it, which was really cool. But yeah, I think this actually will work a lot better at the higher angle. And I think that looks pretty good there. Let's see who's on. Anybody there on the chat? Nope, nobody on the chat, but let me just type in before I start making some noise and dust here. I'm going to switch it back to my live view while I'm cutting and then come back. So, let me check to make sure all my blast gates are where they need to be. I'm still struggling with having only the 1 horsepower. I'm seeing a lot of dust being left in the pipe itself, and I then have to take my my shop vac to clean it out, which you don't want to do. So, all right, let's get the glass down, and here we go. So one of the things with this particular plan is that the lines are about 2 and a half points, not quite 3 points. So I try and pick either the inside or outside line to cut on. I prefer the 1 point so I can just split that line. But you know, it is what it is. But these designs are nice and easy, and depending on the wood, very fast to cut. And that's key to what I'm doing. Again, I'm not a production shop. but I do want to be efficient in the time that I spend making these. Yeah, it's just not pulling up the way that I like. The dust, you can see that there's a lot left. Now I'm drifting to the left a little bit here. It's not super critical on these. That's the other thing of keeping a simple design. But again, practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. So you want to always make sure that you do everything that's repeatable. At least that's my belief. So you can be as consistent as possible. All right, let's make a semi snap turn. Yeah, I'm on the inside right now, so I'm gonna I think the stack of 3/4 inch mahogany, that's really pushing the limit. I may have to speed this up a little bit. Let's speed this up a little. Now the way that I put my templates on, I don't know if that's a bearing that I hear. God, I hope not. I'm outside of the sweet spot, so I'm going to have to slow this down a little bit. Again, we'll see. This 1.5 inches of mahogany is definitely, it's a tough haul for this. I'm going very slow. So again, we talked last week about the point of diminishing returns. And when we go to the other project, which is a single stack of oak, you'll see how much faster I can cut it. And if this was actually aspen or birch or something between the 400 and 600 Janka, hold on, let's get this last. Come on. There we go. All right. But what I don't like about the, oh, geez, yeah. What I don't like about the Pegasus is how much dust it leaves in the cut itself. I definitely don't like that. Let me get this threaded, and then I'll switch over to my other screen and see who is on. Let's see, I have some... I just bent it. Son of a gun. All right, I'm going to try and, being that it's bent at the top, I'm going to see if I can straighten that out. Yeah, that's irritating. I got to tighten that up. I'm right on the edge of not being tight enough and being too tight on that. Okay, let me go see who is on. Switch over here. Oh, hey Archie, what is going on? Hey, appreciate the support. Herb, there we go. It's true music. So many people practiced 4 hours last night. If they're making mistakes, they are just reinforcing the errors. Absolutely. And that's the main thing. You know, I learned that when I was doing combat handgun, defensive pistol, all those American things. Is if you are constantly practicing and your habits are wrong, exactly, you are reinforcing those bad habits. And that goes to really anything in life when you think about it. Um, but yeah, I try to apply it in everything that I do. Let me get my foot pedal into place here. Let's see if I was planning on changing this blade after this cut. So we'll just do the puppy's ear, change the blades, and let's do a snap. So Gareth, how's everything on that side of the water? It was cold this morning for Virginia Beach. Where my heat pump is, it of course draws moisture out of the air, and on the cement it was iced up. So the ground air temperature and the cement that risers were below freezing, so the water froze and there was frost on the cars. And that's not, you know, we get that once in a while, but a year ago, last year, not only were we touching 70s in February, a couple times we touched 80 degrees Fahrenheit, which I actually love. So beats that New York weather, where I was in western New York and all that evil snow and cold where you go below zero. But yeah, I notice that you folks are coming on now. After I'm done, if you go back to the start of the video, you'll see me talk about the projects that I'm doing today. I think what I'm going to actually do, when rather than cut these out, I'm going to switch over to the other project to do all the inside cuts. And kind of go from there. So it's been like a freezer. Yeah. I'm glad that I work inside a building over at HQ. I'm spoiled, but there was a time when I lived in western New York when I first got out there. I moved in from New England, from Boston area. I had a job waiting for me when we moved out to New York, but it was selling advertising. Found out the guy wanted me to go into the dirty bookstores, the strip clubs, and the bars to sell this advertising. Surprise, surprise. Well, that's not me. So I quit the job and wound up working on the vineyards. And this is the dead of winter, icy cold, and I did not have proper winter gear. So some folks from my church and the pastor gave me, insulated Carhartt gear. So I would be out there, dead of winter, pruning all the dormant vines, grapevines, for the wineries, for the vineyards. And then after that, we would go back in as the weather started warming. We'd be pulling all the vines that were cut off, and then we would tie everything to the wires. And let me tell you, when we were in the wintertime, it was freaking cold. Oh, I hated it. But it kept food on the table for my wife and I. We had just been married. And there was a period where we just ate hot dogs and potatoes. That's how poor we were. There we go. All right. So yeah, I've been through it. Let me get this out, and we'll show that. So let me switch over to the screen here. Here we go. Yep. So you kind of see I've got the inside cuts done, all that. So what I'm going to do is switch to this little puppy here, and we're going to do a number 7. So yeah, this still had a little bit of life left in it, but yeah. Me, who loves to bend things. Let's see, number sevens are on this side here. All right, this is sliding. All right, let me catch up there. Wow, we got lots of people here. Um, I'm glad you learned a lot. I mean, I just kind of blabber, and hopefully something rubs off. Um, it's all we can do is just share what we have, help promote one another, and just work with each other. Yep. All right. Remember, I pull that back to C, but always remember, put it back, back down, or you're going to be in trouble. All right. And I do that way too many times. All right. Let's see here. Nope, still can't see that yet. I'm going to slow this down. I like to get in my sweet spot. It's quiet. I don't hear weird noises. Okay. Let's cut out another heart. Ooh. So while I've been stuck here in the cold, my family has been in Orlando at Disney World. So they're driving back today, and my oldest daughter is driving back to Ohio. So let's see. Yes, building up a catalog of patterns, absolutely. I need to do a better job categorizing. I just have a folder and just, all the different designs that I have. But most of the time, what I will do when I get a design, whether it's a PDF, whether it's a JPEG, I bring it into, what just hit me? I bring it into Photoshop so that I can do the lines the way that I like them. As you can see, the magenta is my preference. All right, I got to slow down a little bit. I'm on the outside here. Let me pay attention for a moment. So I bring them into Photoshop, and all those are in the same folder as well. But now, for example, what I'll do is I'll use layers, and each layer may be a different toy. For example, this folder here is wheeled toys. But what I need to do is export them, print them, quote unquote, as a PDF, and name them better, name the files better, and make a little bit better file folder structure. I also take these copies of them and I put them up on my encrypted drive and also my Google Drive. So I have them in 3 different places. That goes to the other old saying, military saying, is that 2 is 1 and 1 is none. So you always want to have backup, because if my desktop croaks, then I may be SOL when it comes to my designs. But if you have favorites, I would definitely make a favorites folder. Your tried and true. The ones that you just really like making, or, like I've been struggling with that Resurrection Cross. I still got to finish it. I didn't do anything in the workshop this week because I was still really tired from COVID. Let me pay attention here on the home stretch. There we go. So I was still really tired from COVID, so when I got home from work, it was like, ugh. Try not to bend that. So yeah, there's what it looks like there. let me look at the comments here for a moment and catch up to you folks. Let's see. Hey, you may only be making basic cuts, but you know that's where you start. Make sure when you do those basic cuts, they are the best basic cuts that you can possibly make. Because then, when you start doing the more complex ones, you have it done. You know, I think it was Vince Lombardi. He was the legendary coach of the Green Bay Packers. And, you know, they would be winning, they would be winning, they would be winning. But then all of a sudden they go on a losing streak or they have problems. And what he always would say at that point is, okay, boys, we're going back to the basics. All right? If you look at some of the, I'm sorry, for you, Gareth, American football, and you know, I love giving my UK brothers at work a hard time because actually soccer, that we call it out there, that actually originated in Europe, in the UK. It was an abbreviation of the league. So if you look that up, you'll see the story behind it. So I always like to give them a hard time on that. But anyway, you always go back to the basics. So I'm struggling with the resurrection cross. I can see it right over there. Haven't worked on it in a week, and I've got to go back to it. But right now, I need some victories. I need some confidence builders. I need to have. Oh, your national sport is rugby. Yeah, I know, but still, got to give you guys a hard time. But, you know, by doing this, it helps build confidence. It reinforces your basic skills. Also, with the wood, the thickness, and everything like that, you get the feel back. And you're like, okay, this is what it's supposed to feel like when I'm actually working. So that's why a lot of times you just go back to the basics and never put yourself down for only, quote unquote, only doing basic cuts. When you feel comfortable, then you can go to more complex cuts. Or if you watch some of my videos, or when I go back to the resurrection cross or something else, and show you some of how I do some of the, let me get closer here. How I do some of the more complicated cuts, whether it's a quick turn. See, like I'm going off the line here, I gotta pay attention. Whether it's a quick turn like this, and that's not a very sharp cut, but at a 90, whether it's a nibble, whether it's flaring out into the waste wood and adjusting the angle to do the 90, or whether it's going partway in, then going out and then attacking the other side of the angle. There's a lot of different ways to simplify those complex cuts. So that's important. So in essence, you're taking a series of basic cuts to create the complex cut. Takes a little bit longer maybe, yeah, but it's clean. It looks good. Hold on. Oh, I hate when that happens. Yeah. Yeah, I call it a quick turn. I don't know if there's another another term for it. Yeah, I come up with all kinds of different terms. Or I hear other people, like if you watch Di Love Spoons, he talks about pierce cutting. I actually prefer that term, so I've adopted that term from him. That's where I learned it from. Other folks in the United States, they just call it an inside cut. I don't know. For me, pierce cutting just sounds so much nicer. You know, it's just the way it is. Let me just do a quick check on things. I'm just checking to make sure audio sounds good. Chat rate looks good. Okay. So, yeah, exactly. Looking at sometimes it's best to put things on the back burner and crack on. And yeah, when I first started in NATO, uh, my branch head was, I think he was from the UK, and when he would say, "Okay, we're going to crack on," it's like, that's where I learned it from. So I've learned a lot of different terms, which are really cool. And usually, any given day, I may be saying good morning in 5 or 6 different languages, just for the fun of it. So yeah, let me get this heart done. But yeah, this 3/4 inch mahogany cuts really well. This, again, is my number 7 Flying Dutchman Ultra Reverse. And you'll notice that when I was pulling the hearts out, there was no dust left in the cuts. So this particular blade um, design pattern, tooth pattern, does a really great job clearing out the cuts and giving you a smooth cut. So hopefully you like this angle a little bit more from the top. It actually is a little bit easier for me in terms of being able to look at my laptop that's on a cart too. It's just to my left. But yeah, let me get this loopy loop. So always try and keep your movements as smooth and as consistent as possible. You know, sometimes you got to stop and you'll learn how to keep that continuous flow. All right, here we go. You know, I'm going to put my finger there and hopefully it's not going to jump out at me. There we go. That's much better. Much better. Didn't like that popping out. Oh yeah, you should make him an offer. You know, you should. You never know. You know, it's, if you don't ask, you're never going to know. So, so if you notice, very little dust. I think there was just a little bit there. Multi-directional pinless blades. So you're using a spiral, I would assume. Yeah, but if you look, see, we'll get into spiral blades and talk about that a little bit. So if you, let me make sure I can get this so that you can see. Let's see here. Yeah, so let me get that out of the way. So if you look at this heart that cut out, you can see how smooth that is. I mean, there is zero, if this was a piece that I needed, so obviously the inside, there is zero sanding needed. That is, you know, such a beautiful cut. That's why I really like the Flying Dutchman. You really can't see inside the heart. Let me see. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see. You know, so the outside piece that popped out, this waste wood, really shows how good it cuts. Now, with a spiral blade, I don't like them. For the most part, let me be real careful of how I say this. Is I never want to disparage a tool, because a tool is only as good as the person operating it. You know, I used to play saxophone, and I wasn't super good. I wasn't a pro or anything like that. But you take some of these other saxophonists, famous, they could pick up any sax and it will sound like them. And it could be, you know, the 50-year-old Selmer, you know, that has all the lacquer, the finish worn off of it, which is what they prefer. But it's just how their embouchure is and how they set up their mouthpiece and the reed that they use. But everything else, they can make it sound like them. So I don't want to disparage a tool. So in this case, you'll hear people disparage, oh, this is Chinese made and blah, blah. Okay, so you learn how to use the tool properly. It's mainly for these Excaliburs made in China. It's mainly about how long it lasts. So if I know that it's not going to, quote unquote, last as long, then how about I be a little bit more careful? I'll lubricate the joints that need to be lubricated. I won't run it at full speed, and I'll learn to not be abusive to it. So you do that. Let's see. The spiral on the machine at the moment is very awkward to replace. Oh, okay. So, well, let me pull out my old, this is the old blade. Now you'll notice that I also use, I got to get to my live here. Here we go. If you notice, I also use pinless blades. So you could swap yours with pinless, depending on what brand you have and everything like that. Of scroll saw, of course, the chuck may be different. Yep, make note, drop speed. I try and run on the slowest speed that will still give me a consistent and quick cut. So for example, I'm going to slow this down a little bit more. Let me see. I'm going to be, I think that's about 50%. Let's see how 50% is on this. The other thing when you're running slow, and this goes, yeah, I'm going to speed this up just a little bit. So a little bit more than 50%. Another thing with keeping the blade in a slower speed, you don't generate as much heat on the blade. I'm doing blind right now. Wait a second. I got that little curly in front of me. I was blinded. I couldn't see my line. So you don't generate as much heat. Heat is an enemy of the blade in terms of sharpness. So remember that. Also, too, especially when you're new, if you're running too fast, then you're cutting too fast. By going slow like this, I can control my cuts a little bit better. And I find that to be very important, when you're doing more intricate cuts and things like that. Now, that being said, there are people who say, oh, I run mine at 100% all the time. I don't care. Well, if it works for them, it works for them. But I would say that the higher speeds will wear your machine out faster. So if you are using a less expensive machine, it may burn out in a year. Your fancy schmancy machine, instead of it lasting 5, 10, 15 years, you may cut a few years off of it by always running it at full speed. That's why I like my variable speed. So if I ever decide to upgrade, I'll upgrade to the Seiko, I think the Seiko, or the Pegasus, because they're built on the same design as this. I really like this design. I like the Pegasus chuck that I put on this, with the quick release and everything. And I would probably go for the 30-inch model, even though I don't like doing large. Oh, let me get my finger on this. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, putting the finger there keeps it from popping out and making a mess of things. Yeah, so here we go. Get that out of the way. You can see, nice smooth cut. So what I was going to add to this, let me switch screens again here. I'll be back to you in a moment. So the other thing, especially with some of the woods that are more prone to scorch, for example, cherry, what was the other one? There's a few. So cherry in particular, if you're running at a high speed and you're making sharp turns and stuff like that, or it's It's a slower cut. You're more apt to scorch the wood. So slowing it down, you reduce that. The other thing that helps reduce it is by using either packing tape or what I use on this. You can just see it. I use the clear shelf liner, and I use the, what was it, 3M77 spray. I use that for adhering my pattern. So let me get caught up here. We'll go back to entry level. Yeah, you know, when you say deflection, what do you mean deflection? Are you talking about the blade drifting to one side or the other? That could be it. I see. See, you are getting some good tips, I hope. What do I want to do? You know, let's cut out the big boys. And so I'm going to go and switch here. And this blade, I think, is still good. I have a bad habit of throwing away blades too soon. So let me grab a number 10 here. But anyway, let's talk about spiral blades a little bit. Yeah, let's do that. I got my spiral blades over here. There we go. So I do use spiral blades. Let me switch to my live so I can see what I'm going to show here. So here's a spiral blade. This is, I forgot if it's I think it's a number 1. So it's very small. And if you go through my old videos, you're going to see the 3-dimensional winter scene that I did that's lighted. I'm trying to remember the videos that I did on that. And I use the spiral blade for a lot of the detailed work on the trees because they were just too many quick, round, sharp cuts to really use on to use a flat blade. So I decided not to, let me see here, I'm trying to grab my number 10s here. Wait a sec, I'm stretching. I think I grabbed 2 blades. There we go, okay. All right, I want to make sure I get all this right. So, got where I was. Oh, so I use it for that because it's not a super clean cut. That's one of the issues that I don't like. It's more jagged, and you've got to do a lot of post cleanup. So that's why I use the spiral blades very, very selectively. Make sure I got this going the right way. But I will use them. But for all intents and purposes, I just really like the flat blades. And again, I like the Flying Dutchman because of the way that it finishes. But I do, as you can see, use the Pegasus, especially the 7 and 10s, on thick, hard stack cuts, like I am doing here. Excuse me. All right, let me get back to the screen so I can see what you folks are writing here. There we go. Deflection of the blade, bending. Absolutely. So yeah, I think I can, well, I've got that pretty tight right now. But yeah, let me go to my live so I can see what I'm doing here. I don't think you can see the deflection here. I'm going to try and show. So yeah, here's, let's get this blade here. And it also depends on how tight it is. So, you know, I try and get that, what was it, the A note? Or was it a high C? I forgot what it was. But I know when I pluck this, it makes a certain sound. But also, I have very, very little deflection when I'm pushing. So what I was doing was this, and I'm going to exaggerate. So if you're putting it in your chuck and you're getting a lot of deflection off the bat, that's something you need to look at. But also too, when you are cutting, and let's say this is the piece of wood, my finger, and you're pushing too fast, you will have a habit of putting a little bit more pressure one way or another. I'm going to exaggerate again. So let me get this so you can see. Oh, there we go. You see a straight line. So you'll see it deflect like that. So you're pushing too hard or too fast this way. You want to let the blade do the work. So again, let's let's start here, and you'll see how fast, or I should say how slow I go. I'm just trying to figure out where I want to start my cut first. And I might be able, I'm going to do this. I normally don't do too long of a starting cut. Actually, I want to start here. So the reason why I want to start here, this is going to be hidden so that when I go all the way around and finally make it back to there, even if I've got a little notch or something, it's not going to show. So I do that. I try and start, where I can make my sharps in a corner or something like that. Say that this is a 90 degree. I would start there so that I finish straight across. So that's the other thing you want to look at. But I'm going to try and do this, at least this scrap wood, a little bit too fast. I'm going to line up for this line here. And I'm just going to push it straight in. And I'm going to see, let me get my speed back up to where it needs to be. And see what happens. So I'm not going to correct. Well, actually, that's not too bad. But I'm pushing too hard, and pushing hard, it slows the blade down. Now watch what happens when I back up. Okay, I'm going to now... All right, wait a second. I got to get situated here. Yeah, so again, this is a double stack, and you can see how slow I'm actually going. I'm going with the grain, trying to minimize the bounce. But you see how slow I'm going. And because of the thickness and the fibers, this is about as fast as I can go. But now watch the deflection. When I come back, not too bad. So when you're bending, are you bending front to back or left to right or both? That's the question. Man, this is slow. All right, I'm going to bump my speed up a little bit. Something's not right. Oh, duh. My top back was... There we go. Gee, why isn't it moving? Dummy me. The top back was catching the edge. Okay, here we go. And if you listen, you'll be able to hear changes. And one of the things that I do that you might want to consider is to, quote unquote, take a rest. So I'm going like this and I'm thinking, I wonder if I'm pushing too hard. Back up a little bit. Pause, and then start again. If you do that, you'll learn not to be pushing as hard, or at least you'll be able to correct what you're doing. So you'll see, I'll do a quick pause. I pause there, even though I'm still kind of touching the cut, rather than backing out like that. Either way, just take a little pressure off. And you go from there. Yeah, it is kind of like trying to outperform your machine. Because I could push a lot harder, but what it's going to do, it's going to introduce more friction, more pressure, and it's going to slow your blade down, generate more heat. And I don't know what it does to the linkages or anything within your scroll saw. But sometimes what you have to do is just stop and breathe. And, you're like, for now, let me give you what my mind is thinking right now. So I'm going to shut up, and I'm cutting. I'm thinking, okay, take a breath, stop. All right, feed it slowly. Don't push too hard, let the machine feed. So, you kind of self-talk to yourself a little bit in the beginning, or you drive yourself crazy if you keep doing that. All right, wait a second. Let me get these stragglies out of the way. And I back out a little bit. Reposition my seat a little if I need to. But yeah, this is definitely pushing the limit with this stack of oak. I probably will not do that again, just like my triple stack. I'm learning what not to do. But sometimes I want to try and push myself and the machine a little bit. But yeah, what was it? Friday? Friday I had 30 pounds of wood come in, about $200 worth came in. This is some of the wood that came in. I use a couple different ones, but this came in from, what is it, Uchu Hardwoods. I like the selection. I like that they'll custom cut stuff to my specifications. I also use KJP out of Canada, but they don't, I think 4.5 inches is the widest they go on the stuff that I like. But they have some really nice Canadian maples, Spalton, bird's eye maples, some really nice stuff that I like to get from them. And just real nice. But yeah, you're absolutely correct that there's a very large selection. But here's the funny thing. You wind up finding a few woods that you really, really like. For example, I like this white oak. Red oak, I really like, but it's a lot harder to cut. So you got to be careful in what you use it for, especially depending on the thicknesses. I love, what was it, walnut. So I don't know if you folks were on. I was showing, on this, you'll see is the spoon. This is an example. Let me get this above and go to my live. There we go. Let's get it in the light here. Get out of the way. So this is the spoon, and that's what I'll be cutting out on this as well. This is made out of the walnut, and I absolutely adore walnut. It just, that chocolatey look is just amazing when you finish it. That's number one. Number two, for carving, surprisingly, it's actually a really, really nice wood to carve, where I find oak to be quite a bit harder to carve. So those are two woods that I really like. I do like the mahogany. That's a nice wood. What is the other one that I really like? Oh, canary wood. Canary wood, the reason why I like that, even though it's a hard wood, it's an oily wood, so the blade is pretty much self-lubricated. Oh, I'm getting stuck here. There we go. It's self-lubricated, so it winds up cutting beautifully, and the carving is not too bad. Now, for a while, I was doing a lot in cedar for some of my Welch spoons, and that carves super easy, but the problem is that I found that it also chips. real easy as well. So you got to be real careful how you are actually carving it. But the final effects are gorgeous, actually. Yeah, if you go to Uchu hardwoods, you'll see it. It's a hardwood. I think it's out of Africa, Central Africa or something like that. And it has this orangey look to it that has brownish stripes, but very subtle. What did I do in that? I'm trying to remember a piece, and if it's in the video, I'm trying to run through my memory right now, what I did. Shoot, I don't remember. But I think there's a video where I'm actually cutting it. And, you know, my original introduction to it is when I was doing an intarsia piece. And that was my introduction. And that's, you know, why I usually get a lot of different woods, or I was getting a lot of different wood for the intarsia. But right now, since I'm not doing intarsia, I got oak, 2 different types of oak, walnut, mahogany in this order. But I still have a lot of others. You know, I still have bloodwood, red heart, yellow heart, gosh, I'm looking at it in the corner there. It's the black and white. I have zebra wood, wenge. But when you look at hardwoods, you just Google it, find out what the Janka is. And you'll find that, you know, you're around 400. It's really easy to cut, but it's also easy to overcut. So that's why you would need, going back to the original subject, slowing down the blade. You want to make sure that you adjust the speed according to the type of wood. But again, I try and go with the slowest speed possible within reason. Yep, I'm drifting to the left a little bit here. I wasn't paying attention. Let me get back online. Thankfully, it doesn't matter much. That's probably why you'll never see me do intarsia on a video, because if I'm talking, I'm going to miss the line. And you've got to be super, super, at least in my mind, I try and split my lines so that I do very little, if any, fine fitting or sanding. Here, let me take a break for a second here. Oh yeah, wing. I don't know, canary, it's in a bungu. Yeah, I love the chocolatey color. And I don't know if it's wenge or wenge. So, yeah, you got it. It's like anything, crawl, walk, run. And again, that self-talk, you can always add in. It's like, okay, go slow, okay, slow down, okay. That's it. Now just ease up, and now a little bit more pressure. That's a good, okay, keep it there. Follow that line, watch the tip of that blade. Just do that self-talk for a little bit. Because there'll be times where you actually feel anxious. Oh my gosh, I'm going too slow. Oh my gosh, I'm not fast enough. Oh, and you start psyching yourself out. And you don't want to do that. So you wind up getting a pace. Like this is my pace at the moment. Not super fast, not fast at all, but not too super slow. And my muscles in my fingers and my arms are relaxed. Only these fingers here have a little bit of pressure on them. Let me back up a little bit. Kind of putting the pressure that way. And also, you know, you'll see that I'll spider walk, or let me back up a little bit more. But just kind of adjusting the wood with these fingers here. So I've got the thumb, I don't know if you can see, yeah, you can see it. So I've got the thumb here giving a slight push, and then these are steering. My, back up a little, my left hand is what I'm using to do the, what do you want to call it, the coarser movements. So I'm using the thumb right now and a little bit of my middle finger on my right hand. Not much on this other than for a very, very slight downward pressure, more just the weight of my arm. My shoulders, my biceps are relaxed. Now I'm pulling very slightly with this, more thumb, pushing a little bit more on this to give a pivot. So right now it's more thumb and forefinger. And this just helps guide the coarser, my left hand. So could I, if you notice, watch, let me stop. See what happens? How this will, I let go here. So that's the coarse movements. And this is something you're going to learn. So now I'm going to put pressure, and I am using my whole right hand to actually steer this final curve. And I'm pushing down with my forefinger just a little bit on my left hand to give me a smooth exit. Let me hold that. This is the one thing with a stack cut, especially with these Pegasus blades, there is so much dust, sawdust, it's causing my pieces to stick a little bit. I'm bending the blade, damn it. There we go. So yeah, that's all the dust that comes out of that. So let's see, that to me is just way too much. Let me open this up, and I'm gonna let the man. Oh wait, where's my brush? Yeah, that's, to me, is just way too much. So again, a little bit picky. I don't like dust. I just opened up my blast gate more on my lower. So let's go back to the little guys here. I'm going to stick with the number 10. I'm going to go with the aggressive cut. Otherwise, let me do one, see how it actually cuts. And then see how that goes. Okay, let me switch back, see what you guys are up to. Oh. There we go. Eagles. Eagles seamless. I'm not quite sure. Okay, let me get that. All right, so what I did with these is I tried to start fairly close to the edge. That way I minimize the length. You know, say that I started here and I had to cut all that way. You don't want to do that. You want to have an entry point. And as I was talking about earlier, you know, I'm going to go back to that number 7. I just, this is so thick. And I know I have life left in the number 7. And I just like the way that it finishes. So you notice I do the bottom, I pull up, and then, yep, that's the right tension. Just got the right feel. So, there we go. Okay. So I'm going to start here. So as I was saying before, I think you can see, let me go back to my live screen here. Okay, let me get this where you can see it. That's the one problem. Okay, so I'm going to start at this point right here. Where's my pointer? I'm going to start at this point right here. And I'm going to come down so that when I finish, then I can just go whoop, straight out and I'll have that nice sharp edge there. That's just a good place to start. So I could start really at any ear. You know, again, maybe on the whales, for example, I may start somewhere in here because it's hidden. Yeah, so we'll do that. Let's get this set up. Make sure things are not in the way. You can see. There we go. Let me switch screens back. Yeah, so in terms of pre-planning, that's actually a good word, is when I look at a piece just before I'm going to cut it, you'll see a lot of times I just spin for no reason. So let's say that, I mean, I was in the heart or something like that. You'll see me spin it, and my mind is looking at where I want to go. So if I haven't already pre-thought it, I go like this, and it's, let me do this. So let's say I was looking at this, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really like that. Oh yeah, hey, yeah, this, okay, yeah, that works. So I'm just kind of self-talking myself, but yeah, oops, that is way too fast. There we go. So we'll slow down. So there we go. Much better. So now I can get my angle. So I am pressing with my right finger, forefinger, and I'm using my left thumb in this particular case. Now I'm going to shift. I've got pressure and moving with my middle and forefinger on my right hand and doing the course again. More left hand. So it will become really automatic. You'll learn how your fingers and the wood work together. So let me speed this up just a little bit. So you can see this pace is a little bit faster. And again, being that I'm not a production shop, there's no reason for me to worry about going fast. So I'm going to back up a little bit. And here's a little bit slower turn to shape that nice little V. A little bit different. So because I have the top back, that gets in the way once in a while. That's just one of the sacrifices I'm willing to make. All right, now I'm pulling back a little bit and doing my pivot. Now this particular turn coming up, there are folks who will do this in one swoop, which I think I can do. Or, let me stop here for a moment. Or what you can do is go in part way, make half a turn in there. So let me get my pointer. So rather than, if you're not comfortable, rather than, go and go, oh, I'm going to just make this turn, because what may happen if you don't do it right, you may chop this up, or you may drift into the horse where you don't want to go, which again, not super critical on this, but if it was in Tarsier, yeah. So what you could do is go part way in, back out, then come here into the scrap wood, and then somewhere down here come in at the other side and then complete your cut. So that's two different ways of doing it. So I'm going to try and do it in one. So this is where going slow and watching, you're letting the blade cut and nibble. So I'm backing it out a little bit. I'm actually pulling back slightly, pushing forward, back out, forward, back, forward, back. So I'm nibbling right here. Now I'm back, 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 back. And I'm letting the side of the blade do that cut. Now if I want, I could snap it, but I'm going to go slow the whole way through. I'm pulling back a little bit. Back, back, so you can hear. Back, back. A little forward. Now, forward. So you can see how you can do it in one shot. And again, a lot of people will do that really quick. Oh, I can't see what the heck I'm looking at right now. There we go. Let's get you out of the way. I just realized if I had a larger piece of wood, my camera post would be too close and I'd be hitting it. So one of the things, again, in pre-planning is also look at your turns in your wood and think them through. So, for example, I knew that, I think that was the tail. That tail was going to be a little bit tricky, and I made the decision, I'm going to do it in one cut, and I'm going to do a slow nibble cut. If say that where I'm coming up now it was a 90, I'd make the decision long in advance when I look at it, say, yeah, I think because it's so tight, I'm going to do a nibble cut if this was a 90 here. Or, something, I'm going to go into the scrap wood and then come in from the other side to make my sharp turn. The other thing that I do is during my rest period, like right here, is I'll look and say, okay, this is just a smooth turn to the right. So you don't want any surprises, quote unquote, when you're doing things. Knowing that, yeah, I know I've got to make a quicker turn. Doing scroll saw cutting, it's not mindless work. There's actually, at least for me, there's a lot of thinking involved. But you don't want to overthink. You don't want to fatigue yourself, of course. So I just look forward real quick to see when my next turn is going to be coming up. So I know it's that little humpty-dump loopy-loop. So I can slow down here, and I can even think about it, say, okay, I gotta start moving to the right. All right, so here's a choice. Let's do this. You could do a quick snap turn here if you wanted to, but I'm gonna go do this. And there's two different ways of doing this. You could just turn a little bit like this, and even then go like, whoops, go like that. Now I've got room to set up for a turn. All right, so now I can go like this, and actually I'm gonna knock, I did this a little bit sloppy, so I'm gonna knock this off. So this is one way of doing it. The other way I could have done, let me back up. So I could have just done this. Gone like this, and then get my line up here. And let's say that the wood was still there, although it's already cut out. Now I'm lined up, and then I can make that turn. So if that was a 90, that's one way of doing it. Don't be afraid. Hold on. To use your waste wood. So here, I'm going to do a little nibble. Now I pull back, and I have a sharp corner there. Scrap wood is your friend. But yeah, with Photoshop, and you know, there's what is it? GIMP is the free version, a little bit harder to use actually in my mind, where you can adjust your templates. So again, you'll see that whoops, scratching my nose and hit that. You'll see that I prefer the 1-point magenta lines, and then where I do not want to cut inside, I do like a 20, I think it's a 20. So yeah, so here, let's do it the original way that I was going to do it. I think that's probably enough. So now, I can line up. And get into the home stretch here. Look at that. And let's gently make it go through. And there we go. So now what I want to show you, let me get this out of the way, is when this comes out, let me show you how little sawdust there is. So let me look at the questions real close. Yes, I actually do have a foot pedal that came with the with this Excalibur. I actually have it on an ammo can so that it's raised up. I'm on a stool that goes exactly almost no dust. So, and then again, looking at how smooth that finishes. Now, if this wasn't a kid's toy, this is ready. But I'm going to profile these edges a little bit smoother, rounder for the little hands. But yeah, there's nothing there. So that's the nice part about it. So yeah, back to the next question is yeah, I'm gonna look down there on my ammo can, which is about 4 inches high. I have a piece of plywood uh, that then has my pedal screwed into it. I don't have it permanently mounted, but I use some tape and it sticks pretty well. I prefer that for a number of reasons. If something happens, so for example, I'm in an inside cut and a piece is going blah, 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 blah. I don't have to go, oh shoot, let me get this. Now I know, what is it, the DeWalt, they have a nice big switch and, easy to hit. Some of my other Wen products have a nice big emergency switch. But I like the dead man style of a foot switch. So I press on, my foot is still on, I lift up, and it goes off. So I am a lot faster in being able to turn it off, especially in the case of an emergency, or something sticking or whatever. To me, it's more control. The other part of it is, they got smart on the Excalibur. I know that DeWalt has issues, but the switch here, I just leave in the on position, and I don't have to worry about it. I don't have any kids that I have to worry about touching this or anything, so I leave it on. However, if I wanted to, at the end of the day, I can switch this off, I can put a lock in here, and nobody can turn it on. Or just, look, unplug the thing is the other thing. Let me turn off the air handling system here since I'm pretty much done for the day. And we'll just kind of complete our talk here. Yeah, so pretty much every single one of my power tools has a dead man foot switch. I forgot how much I paid for the Wen foot switches, but I think they were under $15 a piece. They're a lot more lightweight than this big monster of the Excalibur. But to me, for the added safety, for the added control, it just works real well. So I like it. I recommend it highly. Hey, thank you. I appreciate more people starting to come in and chit chatting, and it actually helps me that I am able to talk and scroll saw at the same time. Okay, why isn't that switching? I just wanted to make sure that my audio is still working. I was doing my system check earlier and checking the audio, making sure the levels are correct, doing a quick recording, and I left them on. So it's like, oh crap, with 15 minutes before starting, I plugged them in, my mic pack and the pack that's on my Canon, and it's like, oh, I hope it'll last. It did. But yeah, so this is a nice small toy. I think this is good for up to, maybe 2 years old, maybe 3. I don't know. I'll have to see how a 3-year-old does it. And again, I'm going to use the smaller wheels on this particular piece, which I think when I look at toys, I want to balance having the largest wheels possible so that it gives it the best stability and easy roll, but also there's the proportionality. So for example, here's the 1-inch wheel, but if I said let me reach in here with a similar wheel, went to this, it's like, would this work? Oh, let me get the other one. And let's see. Yeah, it would. Oh, let me get my hand here. It would work, but if you look at the proportions, not quite as nice. So I try and think of aesthetics as well as functionality on things, and it doesn't take much to figure it out. So that's it. Now here's what the mahogany looks like dry, and I'm debating. Usually kids' toys I generally do not finish with anything. But if I decide, well, I'll take that back. My puzzles and some of the individual pieces, but the wheeled pieces I do not finish. But being that this is kind of a dry wood, I think I will use linseed oil on these and get it, nice and sopping. It'll take a couple weeks to fully cure, but I'm still debating about it. I prefer the dry. I've got an 11-month-old grandson, and I call him my toy taster slash tester, but that's a joke, but it's true. Is the first thing he does is this thing goes into his mouth. So it's like, yeah, I think we, even though the linseed oil is food safe, child safe, and everything, the less I have, I think the better. But this is the balance where I've got to look at how this will look when, when it's going to finish. If you go to my website, poppysworkshop.org, I forgot the link on the right, which is, like other stuff or something like that. And you'll see, meet the staff. Scroll down under me and mine, you'll actually see my grandson as one of the principals of the company, as the toy taster. And you'll see, I think that toy, the toys that he has in his hand, you'll see that, oh yeah, you could tell he put it in the mouth. You could see the wet marks on it. So yeah, that's kind of the thing there. But there you go. We cut out today one of these, and oh man, look at all the dust. Look at the difference in it. Yeah. So we cut out the my signature piece, so to speak. My mascot. This is my mascot piece. I just think for everything that I do, the toy, putting the hearts in it and everything like that is just meaning of what I'm trying to do at Poppy's Workshop. Starting again as a grandfather, and then, oh man, look at all that dust is getting on my spoon. So again, this is the primitive bowl that I did. I wish I brought my other one. And you can see, believe it or not, these angles, everything here was done with my barrel sander in the shaping. Had to do it very lightly, but that's how I did that. And then I think this is my primitive, so I did a hand carving on that. I've also tried doing the power carving as well with some of the cuts-all bits. So those are kind of the cool things there. But anyway, I think that pretty much covers everything that I wanted to talk about today. So I will be back online 9:30 in the morning Eastern Standard Time, or is it daylight savings? I forgot what we're in right now. I know we've got a time change coming up. I forgot what month it is. Let's see, November, December, January, February, March. It's got to be March, April. So we still got a little ways to go with that. So I think that pretty much wow, I did an hour and a half today. I'm getting better at this, but I forgot to turn on my lights. Oh, so let's end the stream here. So, may the Lord richly bless you. Make it a great day right here at Poppy's Workshop.